Hello and welcome to another edition of Blitz Extra here on GoSanAngelo.com. I am Quentin Martinez. I am in charge of the Lakeview High School beat. Of course, sitting next to me is Paul Harris, who is our assistant sports editor. He's in charge of the Central High School beat. And having West Texas on lockdown is Mike Whitson. He's sitting next to me here on the right side. So we have a chance to look at everything from last week before we turn the pages and look at this Friday night's action. And immediately you look at the Central Bobcats, who last week involved in another one of those contests that went right down to the wire, Paul.
That's right. You know, the previous two games had gone down to the last play. This one, the second to last play. You know, Odessa High scored on a 25-yard touchdown pass, 2.5 seconds left. Looked like it was going to tie the game. After about 30 seconds of talking about it, the referees take it away. They said an illegal forward pass had happened before the touchdown pass. So Central's able to hang on while Ratliff Stadium is booing. But you know, it's another wild win for Central. They hang on 29-22. And you know, it didn't look like it was going to go down to that. Central jumped up ahead 15-0 early. They scored on a 76-yard touchdown pass, first play of the game. Logan Sawyer to Riley Davis. Looking like maybe they can have a comfortable win, but Odessa High comes rallying back. They tie the game 22-22 in the early in the third quarter, and then it's touch and go from there. Central goes on a touchdown drive in the opening minutes of the fourth quarter. That gives them the lead back, and the defense was able to hang on and let the lead hold up. But you know, once again, they're not making it easy on their fans.
Central obviously has been playing close to the wire almost all season. Lakeview's been in low-scoring defensive games for the most part, you know, during their 4 games of the season, and Friday night was no different. They were in a situation where they were up as much as 19-8 in that game against Greenwood on Friday night. Their offense looked as good as it has looked all season long. They had 160 yards rushing at the half. John Hernandez, Miles Wheeler, Jesse Garcia, they were all successful in the backfield in that wishbone formation, all running the ball. They all had moments of glimpses of how good this wishbone offense could be, and then they give up a field goal. Lakeview does right before halftime to cut it to 19-11. And then Greenwood in the second half outscores them 12-0, and ultimately a couple of key situations looked like Lakeview was about to go in for a score early in the fourth quarter, only for it to be ruled a fumble that Greenwood recovered and preserve their chances to win the game. And then later on the game-winning drive, it looked like Greenwood's wide receiver was stripped of the ball before he went down. They keep the ball with the Greenwood Rangers, and they go on to score ultimately with 2 minutes to play. So it's 2 straight years that the Rangers come from behind to win in the fourth quarter against Lakeview. Just had their best performance of the season, I think, by far. Injuries beset them. They lost starting linebacker Barney Keel early in that game. They lost Miles Wheeler at halftime to a foot or ankle injury also, so they weren't able to play with him in the second half. So they had some of their key cogs on the sidelines, and they were almost able to hold on, but still searching for their first win after a 23-19 loss to Greenwood last week. And I know when you look at some of the area games, including our game of the week, some pretty good stuff that was on tap last week.
Right. Brunt hung on the game of the week to top El Dorado 10-7. It's a game El Dorado really came to play. They actually led the game 7-0 with less than 5 minutes to go, and Brunt was able to punch one in with Creed Colson, finished up with 145 yards rushing in that game, and then Adrian Padilla was able to kick the game-winning field goal with just less than a minute to play. And then Wall was able to top Ballinger 48-13 for their homecoming win Friday night. Player of the week, Austin Moschek, rushed for 178 yards and 5 touchdowns in all. 4 came on the ground and 1 on a 54-yard punt return to kind of seal the deal in that one. Another good thing to see was Junction. After a rough start to the season, opening up with Bront and Mason, Junction's able to even their season record of 2-2 Friday night with a big 61-17 win over Johnson City. Robert Young had an unbelievable night, carried the ball 9 times, rushed for 234 yards and 3 touchdowns. I think his touchdown runs covered 80, 72, and 50 yards. And don't forget Irion County, a school that I was kind of high on this year. They've actually improved to 3-1 with a big overtime win over Barrett Friday night. The 3 wins is more than they've won, the same amount of wins they've won the last 3 years combined.
Mike was right on about those Hornets this year, and a really impressive junction. I mean, not very often you see a 200-yard rushing performance with less than 10 carries, so some big stuff in the area last week. Moving forward to this week, Lakeview hits the road. They had the fortune of playing 3 of their first 4 at San Angelo Stadium. They are on the road at Lampasas. Every one of their road trips this year of their 5 is more than 160 miles, so nothing new to them. Just get on the bus and drive a ways to go play your football game. But that's going to be the case. They're taking on a Lampasas Badgers squad that runs the slot T, very run-oriented. They run only out of a handful of formations, and they just have a whole bunch of different plays off of those 2 or 3 formations. So they're going to be pound, pound, pound on the ground, try to have long clock-milking drives like what the Lakeview offense wants to do with the wishbone. So this is a game that there could be very few possessions on both sides. I mean, if it was up to both teams, I mean, they'd have 6 or 8 minute possessions all game long, and this one could be one of those 21-14 kind of games, just depending on whether or not these teams turn the ball over, or if either one of these can break some long runs. But expect another low-scoring defensive kind of slugfest that you've seen from Lakeview all season long, because both of these teams want to run the ball, and that's what Lampasas was able to do in grinding out a win over Lakeview last year at San Angelo Stadium. A big question will be how many of Lakeview's injured players might be able to return for Friday night, because they got a handful injured in the backfield as well as in the defensive backfield as well. So that'll be a key to determining Lakeview's opportunities to pull out a win before they take a bye week next week. Central, I know, is also wrapping up their non-district schedule.
That's right. They're playing Midland High, and it's probably the biggest test they're going to see, throughout the regular season. Midland High, 4-0 start this year. They're the team I picked to win District 3-5A, and they're looking good so far. They beat Lubbock Monterey last week, 46-0. The defense only gave up 112 yards of offense. Running back Jacoby Webster, he ran for 207 yards to lead their balanced offense. I believe they finished with 222 yards rushing, 233 passing. So, Midland High is looking great right now. And, they beat Central 49-14 last year in Midland. This time it's in San Angelo Stadium. Quarterback Logan Sawyer for Central, he's going to have to keep taking care of the ball. So far he's had 11 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's been huge for the Bobcats. They've only had 3 turnovers all year. Defensively for Central, linebacker Colton Gill, he broke his hand last week. Coach Brent Davis believes they can put a cast on it and he can still play. But, it could limit him, and against Midland High's offense, and, anything like that. He's the second leading tackler on the team, so that could be costly for Central. We'll see how they react to that.
And Mike, the game of the week takes us to the 6-man ranks.
Right, the game of the week has to be number 7 Sands going to number 6 Water Valley. Both teams have just mowed down the competition this year. Sands is coming off a huge 91-46 victory over Sterling City, where 2 weeks ago Water Valley was able to top Sterling City. The only game the Wildcats played this year that didn't end by the Mercy Roll. Last week Water Valley picked up another win, Mercy Roll win over Santa Ana with 60-14 victory. So somebody's perfect record is going to get a smudge on it this week at Diddle Young Field. Another game we'll be looking at is the 4-0 Sonora Broncos traveling to Blanco, a team that kind of gave them a run for their money last year. Sonora's Clayton Parks has thrown for almost 1,000 yards and 13 touchdowns without giving up an interception this year. So he'll lead a very talented stable of Broncos into that game this week. And in Class 1A, Miles, after kind of a sluggish 0-2 start, has bounced back to big wins over Roby and Cross Plains to kind of even up their record, and starting to look like the team that we expected them to at the start of the year.
They got a lot of talent on that team, and it looks like they're finally putting it together under first-year head coach Wade Cribbs. Paul, is there anything in the area that you're looking at?
Yeah, there's a couple of games. A big one's 4-0 Wall heading to Crane. It's just been such a tough schedule for Wall, their non-district slate, and this is another test for them, see how they handle Crane on the road. And then I also like to see Robert Lee at Sterling City. Sterling City, after the big wins to start the year, especially over Garden City, they've kind of struggled these last 2 weeks, and Robert Lee been playing pretty well. They're on the rise. I'd like to see kind of what would happen with those two teams.
Some very big games again. Every week it seems like we can pinpoint a handful of games that are really impactful to sometimes district standings, otherwise just great non-district clashes. So a lot of stuff to look forward to this week in the Blitz section. In Saturday's standard times, of course, you can go onto our website, gosanangelo.com, get all the information on our Blitz web page. We have maps to the games, we have statistics, we have schedules, we have rosters, we have more than you could possibly ever imagine on gosanangelo.com on our Blitz webpage. Don't forget, you can catch us on Facebook as well on our Blitz West Texas football page. And if you follow us on Twitter, you can go on to Blitz WTFB and look for that. That is our Twitter handle. We'll give you scoring updates all night long. And don't forget, try to beat the general. We make NFL picks every week. Log on to gosanangelo.com and you can find chance to beat the General, try to pick NFL games better than we can as a sports staff here at the Standard Times. So hopefully that's something else you can look forward to as we continue with football season here. And thanks for watching another edition of the Blitz Extra here on GoSanAngelo.com.
Come.